Welcome to Missing the Mark, where we look for meaning in strange places. I'm Christopher. Hi, welcome to the first episode of Snake Talk. This is where, unlike my usual subjects, I talk about my pet snakes. So, this girl here her name's Aphrodite, and she's a ball python. Now, she's a morph ball python. In particular, she's what's called a Firefly, or she's got two morph genes in her. One is the fire gene, which is an incomplete dominant gene where it's the heterozygous form. The homozygous form makes them into a leucistic snake where they're all white. In the incomplete form, it just sort of cleans up their pattern a bit. And then the other morph she has is pastel. And pastel tends to bring out and emphasize a great deal of the yellow that's normally in the snake. So, as you can see, she's a beautiful snake. She's an absolutely beautiful snake. Just under a year old. She was hatched in early October. And so, she's grown. She's going to get a lot bigger than this, God willing. And so I'm going to be doing other videos in the series about like the enclosures that I keep and so on. Right now she's still on a weekly feeding schedule. She's still a little girl growing up. But anyway, I want to talk briefly about ball pythons because I have three snakes: a ball python, a super dwarf reticulated python, and a Peruvian long-tailed boa, or boa constrictor longicauda. That one's just a tiny baby. Got him very recently, and so I've had her for the better part of a year. But anyway, so I wanted to just mention briefly because they're three very different snakes. They all fulfill sort of a different role, and I really like ball pythons because I like ball pythons because they're more sedate. There are a lot of beautiful patterns in ball pythons. There are a lot of beautiful patterns in a lot of snakes, but ball pythons especially, they're really good for when you're not when you want to interact with your snake, and they're good for things like watching movies with you when you just sort of want the company of another living creature, but at the same time don't want to be constantly dealing with a snake who's climbing on things and so on, who will get into all sorts of trouble. And so like with her, if she'll let me. There's always a question of whether they'll let you, but it's the sort of thing where, since ball pythons like burrows, you can do this sort of thing where you're sort of just creating an artificial burrow, and then she tends to like it. She'll often sit there, and if I just sort of hold her and make her feel secure, when the lights are on, then she'll especially just hang out there, because it just feels nice and warm and comfy, and so that can be a fun way to hang out. Or if I don't, then she tends to be a bit more active and to go around exploring for a bit. And they're also they're just beautiful snakes, and so it's nice to have that sort of sedate option. And it's also real good because ball pythons who are habituated to people, they don't instinctively defensively bite. If they get really scared, they have a tendency to turn into a ball, as the name implies. And so, it's especially good to have a snake that's just super reliable around children and so on. Especially, even for a young snake. And so, it's also good for, strangers and what have you. So if somebody, who just isn't used to snakes wants to hold a snake, then, having a ball python to be able to hand them is just an especially good idea. I mean, a ball python who's been habituated to people. So a lot of good reasons. And I enjoy having ball pythons. They're, I only have the one, but at this point, but they're really great snakes, and not all fireflies are as pretty as she is. You'll find a bunch. I mean, fireflies, they vary considerably in how clean their pattern is and how bright their yellows are and so on. And there are a bunch of other morphs that can produce similar looks. I happen to particularly love the black and yellow look. But anyway, so later on, I'll as I said, in episodes to come, I'll get into things like showing the enclosures that I have and stuff like that. But this is Aphrodite, and until next time, may you hit everything you aim at.